entered Wednesday 39-13. Regardless of outcome, they'll be the top team in the Eastern Conference at the All-Star break. First time Detroit enters the break atop the East since 2006-2007. That squad reached the conference finals but lost to the LeBron-led Cavaliers. Pistons, early on, leading 10-6. Had that skirmish with the Hornets the other day. Just no beef in this one. Pistons leading by 10 after the first quarter. Second quarter, Cade Cunningham, former number 1 pick like Wembanyama. And he catches and shoots and sinks that. We're going to leave that spot on the floor because same spot, same result. And then leave it on there again. Cunningham feeling it. 3 threes in a row as the Pistons lead grows, and it's 15 at the half. Early third, same score. Cunningham stops on a dime and pushes the lead to 18. Under 5 to go on the third. Jamal Shedd's pass deflected by Reed. Cunningham, Tobias. Cunningham had 28, 7 boards, 9 assists, and the Pistons win by 18. Knicks facing the Sixers in both teams' final game before the All-Star break. Joel Embiid out managing the knee issues that have plagued him of late. Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Knicks up by 12. Hart, Bridges in transition. Bridges had 22. Knicks lead by 13 after 1. Karl-Anthony Towns, Jose Alvarado, new guy. Catch and shoot 3. That's good. Knicks up big. Off the miss, Mitchell Robinson will grab the offensive rebound. Jalen Brunson ends up with a catch and shoot 3. 24 first half assists for the Knicks. Most since 97-98. Knicks led by 30 at the half, 72-42. Knicks continuing to cruise. Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns down the lane, plus the foul on Tyrese Maxey. Philly, no pushback in this one. Off the turnover, Alvarado ends up with it in the corner. He hits the 3 at a team-high 26, 8 threes, 5 steals. Energy guys in town. And the Knicks win it by 49. Largest win in Knicks history against the 76ers. Remember, they had the largest win in their history against the Nets not long ago. 480 all-time meetings between these rivals from New York and Philly. It goes all the way back to 1949. The largest win had been 48 on a couple of occasions. They were 93, 94, 72, 73. The reason those are significant is that both of those seasons ended with New York making trips to the finals. Joined now by Michael Malone. And Coach, what do we do if there's foul trouble or somebody's injured? We adapt, right? We could go Zoom here if we have technical difficulties. Happy to have you with us in any capacity. I want to start in the East. And because of injuries to Halliburton and Tatum, it felt like maybe things opened up. Celtics impressive where they are. I want to know who has most impressed you in the East.
Well, you have to start with Detroit, right? They've been in first place all year long. 5.5 games up in the Eastern Conference, Scott, and only 1 game behind OKC for the best record in the entire NBA. And when you think about them, they have the number 2 defense in the NBA. J.B. Bickerstaff has done an outstanding job building that team up. They have the most clutch wins, and that starts with Cade Cunningham, an MVP candidate. We know what Cade can do throughout the game, but end of games, he wants the ball in his hands. And then the second thing is they have the inside-outside. They have a first-time All-Star in Jalen Duren playing at a high level. So they're definitely a team to watch as we move forward to the post-All-Star break.
Yeah, Cunningham looking every bit like that number 1 player that he was selected as and thought he could be a true difference maker, and that's happening. Now, in the West, Oklahoma City continues to cruise, and they're the reigning champions. But I'm interested in your perspective on this. The fact that San Antonio has clearly shown an appetite to want to agitate and to beat them when they've gone head-to-head. How likely is that it bugs Oklahoma City? Not that it concerns them, but that it bothers them.
Well, I think you heard from Shea himself, defending champs, reigning MVP. You know, San Antonio beat them 3 times in a week during December, Scott. And after that, Shea said, he goes, you know what, you have to tip your cap. And right now, they're the better team. So is Oklahoma City concerned about the San Antonio Spurs? Well, they've beaten them 4 times this year, right? So the Spurs definitely are not afraid of the Thunder. But I think a bigger concern right now, if I'm Oklahoma City, is our health. Shea has been out with an injury going into the All-Star break. And then, unfortunately, you saw Jalen Williams go down with an injury tonight. And who knows how long he'll be out with this soft tissue injury. So health is a major concern. And the one worry I would have for San Antonio, head of schedule, #2 team in the Western Conference, Mitch Johnson doing an outstanding job, following a legend like Greg Popovich. But they haven't been to the playoffs, Scott, since 2018 and 19. So you have a lot of young guys, no playoff experience, and any great player like Wemby is, and any great team, they have to go through the trials, the tribulations, the heartache, and the failure to get to that mountaintop. So I'm anxious to see how San Antonio handles the pressure of the postseason.
I think Shea was rather pointed in saying, look, there's games with them is not our Super Bowl. I think we all understand what he's saying in that we've done it and they haven't. They're going to get a chance to do it this year. The teams that aren't going to get a chance to do it this year, there's a lot of them, Michael. And the idea of not being competitive is not new. But there's just so many teams on a nightly basis. It just feels like they're not trying. And I just am interested in your viewpoint on it. Is it getting worse? How do you process it all?
Well, I think one thing you have to take into account here is if this upcoming draft was not so strong, maybe you wouldn't see all this happening, maybe not to this level. But when you have the players that you have in the A.J. DeBonsa, the Peterson kid in Kansas, Caleb Wilson at North Carolina, Boozer at Duke, there's a lot of teams and franchises saying, you know what, these types of players and talents could be a franchise-changing player. I hate the idea of tanking. I, as a head coach and a leader of a team, hate saying to your team, hey, losing is okay right now. We're going to allow it to creep into our culture, get the player we want, and then all of a sudden we're going to start being about winning. Yeah. So it's definitely a tough dynamic. You look at the Spurs, for example, they have 2 reigning rookies of the year in Wemby and Stephon Castle. So you can understand it to a point, but at the same time, the league wants teams playing hard, competing. But the reality is, look at the trade deadline, Scott. Most of the deals made at the trade deadline, aside from James Harden, who's a great pickup for Cleveland, most of the other deals were not for this year. They were for next year. Yeah. So I think that speaks to the current state of this NBA season.
My guy Stanford Steve always encourages me when he feels like I'm just not doing my job. He'll say, just try. And I just feel like too many nights there just are not enough teams that do. Tonight we tried and we overcame. We overcame the technological challenges, Michael. I always enjoy visiting with you, however we do it, man. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate you.
Always, Scott. I appreciate you, man. All the best.
And Duran is fouled. Oh, my goodness. Musa
is coming for Jalen Duran, and he won't stop. Now here at center court.
Now Miles and Beast.
Punches being thrown.
This is out of control. And Musa is still upset.
JD and Stu consider themselves to be brothers. Human instinct tells him to protect his little brother.
What was it like being out there in the middle of all that action?
What was it like?
Yeah.
It's fun. Next question.
Back to the NBA, where punishments were handed down after that brawl. Detroit's Isaiah Stewart suspended 7 games by the league. 3 other players suspended for their roles in the fight between the Pistons and the Hornets. That was Monday. Miles Bridges and Moussa Diabate from the Hornets each suspended 4 games for fighting and escalating the altercation. The Pistons center Jalen Duran 2 games for initiating the altercation and fighting. NBA All-Star Game begins Friday.
The Pistons head into the All-Star break with win number 40. They get it here in Toronto tonight. An all-around performance from this entire team, despite the adversity they were coming in with. Cade Cunningham helping lead the charge with this group. I caught up with him just a few moments ago. Cade Cunningham, did this week light a little fire under you guys?
Yeah, we're missing our brothers. So, we definitely want to come out here, finish the trip off strong, go into the All-Star break, finish it strong.
You guys were playing fast and with an edge. How connected did it feel out there?
Yeah, definitely, really connected. We have to do that. We're missing 2 of the top bigs defensively in the league, 2 bigs that put so much pressure on teams. we knew that we were all going to have to step up, to make sure that we maintained our identity without them. I thought we did a great job top to bottom.
B-Ball Paul gets the start tonight.
Yeah.
What was it like watching him go to work out there?
It's crazy. I'm glad people get to see what he really can do because we see it all the time in the gym. He puts so much work in. He's one of the hardest workers I ever met. So, for him to come out here and get a start, we knew he was going to do something with it. But, the start that he got us off to was special. And he finished the game strong. So that's just, what he does. That's why he call him B-Ball. It's B-Ball Paul for a reason.
B-Ball Paul experience.
Yeah.
If I told you this was win number 40 right here at the All-Star break, what do you think about that?
I'd believe you because we put a lot of work in. Coach has given us a great game plan every night. He's put a great, system and culture in place, and we work our tails off every day. And, we believe in each other. We believe in ourselves. So, this is where we want to be at.
You, JD, and JB are now about to head to LA for All-Star Weekend. What does it mean to you to share the locker room with them on that stage?
It's a blessing, to be with people that I'm going to war with every day, that I've built, special connections with, to be in such a prestigious environment like that, being able to be All-Stars and represent Detroit that weekend, special, and we're excited to get out there.
Yeah. Go ahead and go out there, Gabe.
We'll do. Appreciate you.
Yes, yeah. Congrats on the win. What a game, Special K, holding the Raptors to under 100 points. Pistons made a statement here tonight.
They really did. Nothing's going to sidetrack them, so it seems. They own the pace. They own the paint. They own the game. I mean, they came out early, led by Paul Reed, who had 11 points out of their first 14. But he got them moving. He got them running. Paul was huge to start this game for the Pistons, and they never looked back. I don't think they trailed in the game.
No.
It was unbelievable. And again, it just speaks to how deep this team is, how attached this team is, and how committed they are. They're committed to playing hard and letting that decide whatever happens. And their hard play and their running and their stamina and their endurance, all of that tonight led to this victory.
Throw whatever at them, they're going to take it and use it as motivation. That's exactly what this group does. Cade Cunningham, he knew he'd have to come in tonight without Jalen Duren. Obviously, he helps with the scoring load, but without him, Cade continued to just do what he does. Another great night. He's our Curado player of the game.
If I hadn't seen this already this season time and time again, I might have been, lured into thinking, like so many people were thinking, that the Pistons couldn't win this game in Toronto on the road against a good team because they were down two contributing big men. Yeah, but Cade played. Paul Reed was available. Thought Tobias had a really good game. Duncan Robinson. And without scoring a whole lot, I thought Asar Thompson had a really nice basketball game. They got the normal production that they get off the bench. It was a team victory. But Cade was the guy. Cade was the guy. He allowed Paul Reed to thrive early, and then he was able to take it over and sort of finish the deal later on. Cade didn't even need to play the last 8 or 9 minutes of the game. They didn't need him.
No, and that was the biggest thing. Right.
Yeah.
Already decided well before the game was over at that point. But B-Ball Paul, to your point, came in and just set the tone for the whole team. He was that guy tonight. All of them keep saying that's just the B-Ball Paul experience. But from your perspective, Greg, what is that experience?
Well, you got a chance really to see why I love Paul Reed. I mean, the guy, to me, his attitude, there are a lot of guys that would probably have a problem with their minutes and how sporadic his has been. But as I was saying during the game, everybody can't play every night. But you know your role on this team, and you have belief in yourself, and when your number is called, again, through attrition, they needed Paul Reed tonight and needed him to be as good as he was. He was ready. I said the least surprised guy that this is happening is Paul Reed. He knows who he is, what he's capable of. He knows the work he's put in. All he needs is opportunity. And I'll add this to the 5 or 6 games I was talking about before the game, that Paul Reed has helped them win. And without Paul Reed, any one of those 5 or 6 games could have been losses. I'll add this one tonight. He stayed out of foul trouble. He stayed available. And, man, was he good.
Really impressive. Find me a team that has better depth, and find me a team that plays better defense. Pistons have the second best defensive rating still, I believe.
Second to OKC.
Yes. I mean, let's take a look at that tonight. Our Buick GMC highlights here. I mean, just the Pistons defense, I said it, they held them to under 100 points, and they were swarming the Raptors all night long.
Well, they gave them 19 points in the first quarter. That set the tone. And, you know, again, when you push the pace and you make other teams play a little faster than they want to, that's when you can cause them havoc. Raptors turned the ball over 17 times tonight. And, you know, it'll help push that Pistons pace. You know, when teams can't handle the basketball, can't secure it, then you're going to have running opportunities. Here's one, Duncan Robinson with a block shot. And then a steal. And then off go the Pistons. So, you know, I felt like they knew that this was going to be their last game together for about 8 days. Why not make it a really good one? Why not leave it all out there on the floor? Why not sell out and get this victory, your 40th of the season, then go to the All-Star break to have a good week off and come back and resume next week?
If I would have told you 40 right at the All-Star break at the beginning of the season, would you have believed it?
No, because you know, I had the Pistons probably, you know, keep in mind they went from 14 victories to 44 last year. That's an incredible leap. But
right,
I thought their next jump would be like from 44 to maybe 52 games, 50 to 52 games, which would have been really nice and sizable. But the way they're going, they're going to blow right by 50 and 52. The way they're going, we'll see.
What are the All-Star plans you got, Special K? You going to fill us in?
No, but I'm going to enjoy myself. I'll say that much.
As you should. Yeah. You've been working hard. Hopefully somewhere warm. You can bring back some sunshine. Maybe you'll give us a clue.
You'll know when I get back. You'll know when I see you again.
Okay. Well, if I'm picking up any clues from that, you might be bringing back some sunshine and a nice tan with it. So, all right, Special K. All right, we're celebrating 40 wins. And when we come back from Pistons Live, we will hear from head coach J.B. Bickerstaff on this game and the season up to this point. Pistons Live is presented by Cure Auto Insurance.